Cool. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Occultists Anonymous for super chill Q&A time for episodes, sessions, whatever, 1 through 20, and whatever other questions we want to answer. For those joining us in the Twitch chat, hey, thanks for hanging out. If you have questions, feel free to throw them in too, and we may add them to the bottom of the list, or if they're immediately relevant, we may ask them as they come up. But we've got a list pulled from our Discord, eatinto.space. So we've got a good list of stuff, and since Chris is the one who's got them all done up and has editor access and can cross
I am
them
in
through,
charge.
that's right. Off them questions, my dude.
All right, first one. Start off quick and easy. Camo says Deviant Chronicle win.
Yeah, it's in line, probably behind Geist, probably behind Hunter. I want to do like a super low tech, you guys are out of your depths Hunter, like one shot or something. Game. Yeah. That would be a lot of fun. Or whatever. But yeah, Deviant has more prep into it. Sorry, go ahead.
I like the I only ever saw the first season episodes of Supernatural.
Yes.
But that vibe.
Yep. We know Salt works.
I'm aware that show went off the fucking rails, but the started vibe I'm very into.
Are you saying we're not going to Turbo Hell?
Correct. Yeah, no, I stopped that series when people started coming back from the dead. I was like, all right, hang on. I don't know where this is going, but I don't think this is the show I want anymore.
Look, I just gotta ask a question. Anything ever happen in the show that wasn't supernatural?
Actually, I think there is one.
It's on the tin.
I feel like there's one where they actually they're looking for a ghost or something, and they realize that it's like, well,
they had to have done a Scooby-Doo episode.
A normal, ordinary.
They did a literal Scooby-Doo episode,
right? Yeah.
They had to. Like I know nothing about the show. I know that they did a Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah, but it's
a Groundhog's Day episode.
The exaggerated nature of the later stories seems, sort of magnitude, but it's all kind of ambiguous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
TJ5551 asked, who is your favorite / most hated NPC of the Chronicle so far? Craig?
Mine are Theo's.
Yours.
I'm kind of digging Rilla, personally. It's an interesting arc, and I'm curious to see where she's going to go from here.
You all know what happens when you tell me who your favorite NPC is. Right
for sure. Yeah, there's a massive crosshair.
Darlings.
Yeah, they get it. They awaken.
My true friend.
Really love Ike.
Defensive XP spins. I actually was going to say I can't wait for him to be more central, and I think that's maybe hopefully coming post time skip. Love that idea.
Yeah, especially if somebody becomes sheriff.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of him in an antagonist role.
Wait, who's becoming sheriff? I don't know.
But you put in Warner's brain. We might need a sheriff. That was a year ago.
Yeah, I know.
There've been a lot of dream visits in a year.
Potentially, yeah. There's a very good set of threads on Discord about what people want to happen over the year. So make sure those are updated.
I'm excited to be able to do that this weekend.
Oh, it's okay.
I had a week of weeks.
No worries. That's one of the reasons why we took 2 weeks for this. But what about your guys' favorite NPCs or most hated?
I like Marina a lot.
I've been thinking of ways to get Marina out in front a little bit more instead of just being in the mine.
Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, out of character. Anyone I dislike? Oh, also I like Anastasio. Oh yeah.
Anastasio's fun.
It's a good character.
He's great. Let's see. Who do I dislike? Anybody I dislike?
I've tried to keep most of the folks in town to be people that you would would be okay with, just because the town is supposed to be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like we haven't dived. We haven't past tense dive into like nitty gritty small town stuff yet. Like there's no grudges that have developed and stuff like that. Well, Theo's got some working, but haven't quite got to that point yet. Yep. So it's like it's hard to like hate anybody just yet, I feel like.
Yep.
Except for Ike.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
come on.
That's just
I mean,
good. That's
he's
just
an
good
asshole,
character.
but
He
that's
hasn't
Ike is
done
supposed to be.
anything.
Ike is literally the
Shitty
red
rich
herring.
air. Yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything. He's just a rich
for
kid who
characters I
hasn't
do
had the
like-
experience to think otherwise.
He's rude.
But I mean,
Warner's a rich guy who is nice.
yeah, but
yeah,
I
I
can-
like Warner.
Yeah.
He seems like sort of not quite condescendingly paternal,
Mhm.
but like he's still a nice person.
Yep. Yeah, but Warner is definitely the guy who's like, yep, thanks, but like I really wish you had a different attitude when you were doing nice things. And yeah, and Ike is definitely, like, we haven't talked about it much, but he is definitely the entitled brat. We should be making more money off this kind of stuff,
Right.
and it just it hasn't come up in the forefront to a story. But yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that as all of our PCs are going to be a little bit more involved in town and stuff like that.
I really like.
Right.
I mean, we haven't seen him much at all, but the big Norwegian guy who's the foreman of like the day shift.
Yeah, Furnace.
Rapture asked, what are some topics or mysteries you'd like to explore that you didn't do in the Rookery?
Oh yeah, just generally.
Just generally, what are some things that we've enjoyed or things we're looking forward to? I will say, I mean, chose Theodosia so I could do this, but Spirit wanted to do some more stuff with the Gauntlet and Spirit Courts and stuff like that, and so far so good. Especially our Spider Queen.
All hail the Queen of
Sure,
Darkness.
nothing bad will happen from her.
I mean, you know how to get through there nicely.
Exactly. Well,
For me, I want antagonistic relationships with other supernaturals. Like, I know in the first one I wanted to be everybody's best friend, but like I want to see a terrifying werewolf, shape changers, things out in the wilderness that
skinwalkers.
yeah. Things that don't want to be our best friend and are in fact horrifying.
I'd
Kind of,
good.
I said, kind of peeling off of that. I know that we're not doing a Mage Changeling game, but with that being the original design of the Dark Era that we're basing the game off of, some just and Gisla's sort of backstory pulling into it, while some just fucked up Fey shit out in the wilds in the desert would be sick.
Yep.
I'd be interested to see, like, to have like a supernal antagonist.
You mean
And
besides the one sitting in your mind?
Yes,
Well, but
there it
it's-
is.
that the one thing in mind is right now it's fairly passive. Like, it's something that we want to deal with, but it's not actively like thwarting us. It's just doing its thing, hanging out, sort of. And maybe that'll come up in after the time skip and stuff.
Depends
but-
on the time scale you look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to see, like, to try and resolve that. How do we deal with this so it doesn't become an ongoing problem without, unleashing the abyss?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That would be an interesting thing to explore, I think.
What about
Ralph?
Ralph? Even though Ralph
one
wasn't
of-
there for the Rookery, but sure, what other
I
themes have,
wasn't. One of my favorite things about Mage is the astral realms and its connection with the real world. So, been trying to get back there.
I hadn't picked up on that at all.
Ralph and I sitting over here with our little mini cabal of like, oh yeah, we're getting into the astral. We're going to do some dumb shit.
Hey, I volunteered for something astral related.
You did.
I've
been quite keen on that since you suggested it. So, and I still am. I think
we're going to cover that.
One thing that could be.
It's just going to be something we skim over in the time skip.
It didn't seem like that good of an idea.
Who cares, right? One thing I'd like to see in that, when visiting the Temenos, is more of the significance of your actions in a local space and how that influences its Temenotic representation. So I was quite explicit about Cloak's interest in that. I would like to witness it happen through anyone's eyes, right? It doesn't have to be through Cloak's actions or from my perspective. Just, I think that's one of the most compelling things about it is you create this mind realm wherein your actions, your thoughts, your orientation to things in the real world have some residue, and that has feedback. And so seeing more of that and how people are influenced by that is something I'd like to see.
Almost like the what's the thing changelings can do? Like dream shaping, dream fighting.
Neuromancing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's just called that. I forgot.
Yeah, but no, and I'm very, very interested because it's gonna come up in the time skip because I want to just put that for Cloak to have is, the Pentacle guys going, yeah, the Astral, yeah, there, and you can find Purgatory Bluff in the Astral, and see the Goche that live there that are affected by the thoughts of stuff, and you can do stuff and manipulate it, and it won't necessarily always keep, depending, like in the real world, yeah, you can go kill the Marvel version of Thor, and people are going to stop caring about it, but Marvel's probably going to go ahead and print some more comics, and then people are going to talk about him again. He's going to come back in some way, form, or fashion. So what the active gardening that you have to do is something that Ralph and I have talked about, and that'll be fun. And I've never been shy about I love the Astral, so.
That's right.
Drew, how's it been dealing with and prepping for 4 PCs instead of 3 that you got used to?
Yeah, it's about the same. Really isn't too much of a difference.
Prep time?
And for me, like the 3 that I was dealing with before were much higher gnosis and had more arcana, and so I've had time to coax into that, and I haven't had to deal with quite the same shenanigans right the way it was at the end of the Rookery, and also because these players are all coming in with low-level mages, but they also, like, part of the buy-in to this is there are a bunch of mages who don't know better and don't know, so I can't expect them, because out of character they're on board for the consequences, or they don't know the consequences. Poor Elliot getting sent off to the underworld, and like, yay, bye buddy.
We helped.
We helped.
We helped. He passed on.
We're helping.
We helped.
Yep.
Yeah. We did a good thing.
This is a good thing we've done.
It's fine. Look at that. Yeah. Come on.
See, he's not here haunted, and it's good. But yeah, stuff like that, or Isabelle going, what's on the other side of the gauntlet here? I don't know. Let's go. Boop. Oh. Yep. And so that
just gonna have to push Theo through, like, hey, it's gonna be a little tight when you get in there. Can you make it not?
Yes.
Oh, I wonder if I could. That would be interesting.
Why not?
Yeah, go find out.
Just mind your manners.
Yes, which that. Never mind. I'm not going to say anything more.
She might not like that.
How would you feel having somebody just pop into your living room and start moving the furniture around?
Depends. Did they make it look better?
Very true.
All right. Potentially serious question here. Eldon asked, what's one thing you'd tell your younger selves if you had the chance? And that was clarified to be, I guess, in or out of character, whichever is more interesting.
I mean, for me, it's definitely, hey, remember that $100 that you just left in the bank? Go invest that in name of stock.
For me, it'd be to tell my younger self, the only person that you need to worry about is the person in the mirror. that's the only person whose opinion really matters.
Yeah.
Ralph?
Sure. I would tell myself the same thing that I think Cloak would tell himself by coincidence, which is you need to be your own friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I really would have benefited from hearing at any point in my past. Especially, before I turned 20. Go ahead, Ash.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things. Yeah.
Imagine they might be similar with me.
Yeah. I don't know, just go back with like a checklist of things. It's just like, and look. And this means this.
I will steal a line from a YouTuber I started watching named Elena Joy. It's okay to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
I love Alana. She's awesome.
Yeah. Canadian, too.
Manitoba.
Cool.
Manitoba.
Yeah. Manitoba.
You see, I was very much on the, yes, it's okay. But
It's
I'm
just
not.
me. You can be gay if you want to. I think is her actual merch line. But yeah, if you think you might be different, then just feel that out and accept it. You don't have to pretend to be something you're not for so long.
Yeah.
That goes for you folks out home, too.
Yeah.
We did just pass up National Coming Out Day.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Mike asked, are there any rule the town plans?
Mm.
I know we've got one sheriff planned.
Yeah.
Got a graveyard keeper. Sort of thing.
I would say influence the town plans,
Mm-hmm.
but not be front and center. More the superhero Clark Kent, in the telephone booth, sort of helping out. I think is kind of the general path that we're envisioning.
Yeah, and I don't think Isabelle's is rule the town. It's more of, I'd be good at this,
Mm-hmm.
and it would make me, it would have people indebted to me if I did this.
Yeah.
So
That's quite true.
it'd probably be worth doing.
Isabelle's vibe comes very across as you're all a bunch of sheep and I can be the wolf dog, right?
Mm.
Yeah, it's almost not even that there's like a paternal protecting sort of thing there that maybe isn't even as developed as that. I think more it's just this would be a good way for me to survive
Mhm.
and have people owe me, and it's that next I don't know.
Not so altruistic then.
Yeah, the hierarchy of needs for Isabelle is I would say not well filled out.
On a kind of tangential note to that, I'm interested to see, because with Rookie in Manhattan, it's so freaking huge and there's so many people, we were barely making a dent, but now we're in a small town. How supernally is the town going to change, and how are the people going to change supernally? I'm interested to see how that's going to end up playing out, because we're going to be a much bigger influence on Purgatory Bluff than the Rookie ever was in Manhattan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's to say nothing of long-term Nimbus developments and stuff like that.
Yeah, and kind of related to that, right? Because we're sort of making a supernal imprint on this area, and everything is going to eventually sort of conform to that in certain ways, and it's going to be fun to see how that happens.
Quite true.
Till we teach Rilla to clean up her messes.
Yeah. But also, I can see fallen magic rituals almost working into the daily fabric of life, and we don't necessarily know how or why it happened, and that kind of thing. It could be fun.
That's very true.
Notes.
Very Zen rough.
I was going to say that Legba is going to set up a crossroads. In the course of the time skip, there's going to be some crossroads set up that doesn't really lead anywhere, because it doesn't. No, let's say this a little differently. He's going to create a series of paths that go in different directions, and people can walk away from town and head to the crossroads. And they will notice, or they will learn that that's where they can head if they have a seemingly intractable problem and they'd like advice. Especially if they're willing to, in exchange, do something good on behalf of another person.
Yeah. We talked about lighting a black candle or putting out a green lantern or whatever. So
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good one. And there is technically a crossroads, but it's in the middle of the town.
Yeah, exactly. So, he's going to be, he's going to position himself to provide advice and service to the town as some strange old man that you can find off in the distance. So, I mean, not old man, right? Because he's not taking all of Legba's likeness and mantle, but...
Yeah, I'm looking forward to... I think, there's another question down here about the Covenant itself later, but I'm looking forward to developing it out. What the Covenant is to the town, how we can start presenting it and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like how do we become accessible to solve problems and stuff like that, or do we? And and how actually altruistic that is for each member of the Coven, because again, like from Isabelle and Petrichor's perspective, like, what is this gonna get me? Sure, I won't actively make someone's life worse in town, but like, how is this gonna make my life better?
What about for Ash? Ruling town from the general store?
No. I don't have any sort of plans of trying to like become a person in town. Just would like to keep the family functioning.
That's true. Yeah, she does have a problems. Bit of a closer personal priority for now.
Camo number 2. Start ringing the bell here.
Right.
In a second. Camo asked, what has been the best aha moment for each character so far?
I know mine.
The vision of Veloja.
Oh, yeah.
Which that has been sitting in my back pocket for so long.
And now I'm like I'm on a trail. I gotta know what the hell that was. It was pretty good.
Was that rough?
Well, I can wait. I was just saying I knew what mine is. I'm happy to wait for Ash.
For me, it's gonna be the horrible fey moths that are eating up my parents' timeline.
Just your dad's.
Just my dad. Yeah. And his dad
fine.
before him, and we should
You're next.
See about dealing with that sometime soon.
Someone should do something about this. Ralph, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. It was when I learned that the supernal entity below was, well, how do we put this? Colluding with a massive collection of depressed minds to kill a very important NPC in Cloak's life. It's like, oh yeah, we're dealing with space and stuff like that. Well, she's in tremendous peril right now. It was like, oh, maybe I could have foreseen this. That was definitely a little blunder on my part out of character when I didn't anticipate that this ruinous mind collapse causing supernal entity might be a problem if I'm allowing this NPC to go into the same space. Like, they might be back, right? They didn't leave. So,
to be fair, it wasn't part of your path.
Yeah. Literally not
true.
even in your wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like when that started happening in the game, I'm just like, oh, and what did we lock her in with?
Yep.
Isabelle's... man, there's like 2. So there's the Petrichor moment of flat on your back in a rainstorm, like singed to near to death by lightning. Which was great. I loved that scene.
Yeah,
like no, I can do it.
Oh,
Whoops. And then flown around and everything. And then the waking up with the seer in the bedroom scene.
Oh yeah.
It's like, did your dad not train you? I was like, wait, what?
That was a good one.
What'd you talk about?
Yeah.
yep.
So I'm looking forward to. I actually hadn't talked about that in our time skip stuff, but trying to maybe start figuring out what all is going on with that without getting dragged into
especially when
serious shit.
when the silver ladder or when the pentacle come in and go, yeah, your dad, and you're going, hang on, now I've heard it from both sides.
Hold on. How come I didn't know?
Yeah, you gotta tell me some details. Come on now.
Because
Right.
you were young.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mike asked, were there any special considerations we had to take into account due to the time period? Any further plans to explore themes or plot hooks that may stem from prevailing attitudes of the time? Racism, sexism, homophobia, Gisela's parents trying to marry her off, etc., etc.
I mean, yeah, for me, there was definitely some discussion about it, and it's like, what do you know? How far are we willing to go with this? And we made it clear the town's going to be safe. There might be some attitude stuff, but yeah, there will racists don't get to set up shop in town, basically.
Well, I mean, even back to when you pitched us game ideas, we had that conversation.
We did,
and you're like, okay, we can do pirates. Here are some other ideas I had. And we all were like, oh shit, yeah, the West is like diverse as fuck. We could have all this going on. It's not just like white cowboys doing things like the movies. It's like actually historically one of the like most diverse time periods in the Western US history until, very recently. And lots of stuff to pull from, and I don't know if this gives anything away, but Drew's like, would it be too weird if a fucking samurai showed up? I was like, no, that's dope.
Yeah, the time frame allows for a lot of wacky crossovers that, because of the way we learn history, you don't ever really think about.
And just the nature of the period of time, like while those elements don't necessarily have to be present in the town, they're still accessible as story beats in the world. So if we do
things villains can do if we need them to.
Yep. One consideration we had is we made the decision for an anachronism where we had 6 shooters.
Yep.
Instead of cannonball
because
pistols.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're very much operating on a rule of cool, supernaturally influenced technology, tech stuff.
That being said, for like basically every aspect of my character's backstory, I made sure it was all plausible.
Yep.
Like, I looked up all the books I have listed as her owning and made sure that they were in print and widely available at the time in this language.
Because, in case you hadn't noticed, Ash is a little bit hardcore when it comes to character creation.
Well, and Ash is an adventure librarian, basically.
Hold on, this was another question. We can hook into Toast's question.
Oh, yeah.
Toast asked, how did you go about doing your historical research for the setting? How much of it did you do in terms of time, I suppose?
Yeah.
I think individually, each of us kind of went off on our own paths and researched things. And, I mean, you can tell that Ralph certainly has done a lot of work.
Thank you.
Just to touch on that a little bit, just because Theo is Roma, when we were doing the art with Brenna, we were working with a Roma artist for the character design and stuff. And, I was pinging for just a little bit of cultural information and things like that I didn't necessarily have access to, and I didn't want to, sort of trust sources. I'd rather go to somebody who's lived that culture to get sort of that framework.
Yep.
I know for Isabelle, I had a couple key things of like being Spanish nobility in in Mexico, and then the time when we settled on a timeline, it's like, okay, yeah, this totally makes sense. Like, she'd be literally a child during the Mexican Revolution, and then that sort of jumped me into some more research on, down to like where battle campaigns were drawn and stuff like that, and specific regions of where she might be sent to a friend to be safe and out of the way and stuff like that. And then I ended up on, of course, none of it stuck in my head, but I ended up on like a 18th century or 19th century Mexican Spanish, like essentially dictionary, like slang dictionary. I was like, oh yeah, this is great.
Oh yeah, I think you pinged me about that.
Yeah.
Like I have a
Like,
bunch of slang that I could use. I was like, that's great. We haven't used it.
Yeah, we haven't used it yet. But yeah, I think it's important when you're portraying people that you are not, to make sure that you're faithful to it, right? That you're not just skimming the surface of it and
trying to not be a tourist.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Drew has certainly done his part as well on a lot of this stuff.
Yep. Tried to, at least.
Yeah.
Nobody's complained, so
right.
I'm just gonna.
I just got to interject for a sec. There's still a conversation pending between Isabelle and Theo about Isabelle's background, so that's going to be fun to explore that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I was a child. Great. Go ahead. Are you mad at my dad? Because it sounds like I would be too.
No, but there's definitely some things that drive Theo's motivations and worldview
sure.
and things like that, right? So,
yeah.
Was there anything that Ralph wanted to add?
Yeah, I'll say this. I was really encouraged by how we all got together and talked about different touch points that were important to us. And as I expected, we have validated the, I think, pleasant experience really well. So I think it'd be really good for people to know as they're watching us do this, recognize that a lot of the things that have happened have been really deliberate, even if they've seemed spontaneous, in part because it's been really honest and intentional. So people have a lot of care and everyone's pretty thoughtful. So it's been really wonderful for us to be treating this part of the American history and the American past, right? Sorry, not past, physical past, with a dignity and without shrouding over a lot of the ugliness that is still plaguing us today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did not want to go into this as Cowboys and Indians, the Mage game.
Well, so on that point, like we had in the cliffhanger gap between, there's a Native American woman standing over you at the end of your bed, and the next week I said, hey, I just want to, like, this is some things that Isabelle might do or consider.
That's
and
right,
part of that was like, there's a Native raiding party or something, like how did they get into town or something like that, and that would be sort of the knee-jerk reaction. And then it turned out that they were, a white woman cosplaying. Yeah, like that's even shittier because they know what they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah,
they're more likely to fan those flames and stuff like that. So just another, I thought that was a good little mini seer action.
Totally.
Like we didn't talk about it in the time, but
because I think in character, like it wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be something we would consider, but because we don't know that much about like all the little exarchal ministries and stuff like that.
That's right.
But yeah, that's such a fucking shitty thing to do. They were working for. Wait, they were the chancellor, right?
Yes. I had to remember. Dig up my notes.
I got all that from like the factory and the
warehouse,
capitalism
the
vibes and stuff like that. Yeah, so cool. I guess camo is kind of a question that sort of fits right in with this, is how much How much time did we spend developing backstories for their characters as mortals prior to awakening? So specifically, that
Yeah, we actually had some
pre-awakening stuff.
Really good backstories, especially, and not to call them out, but our Rookery characters, their backstories were kind of not shallow, but they're like, here's a couple milestones, and then we were off. And some of the stuff kind of developed a little bit more later, but at character creation, they were pretty stock D&D characters of, I showed up, here's a couple, milestone things, and that was it. Now I know Craig.
That was the first game everyone put together and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we had a pretty good.
Well, compared to these characters.
Oh, compared to this, sure. Because I have definitely showed up to a table of my name is Garbarian the Barbarian. It's time to play the game. Versus Songbird had a little bit more going on than that. Yeah. But yeah, comparatively, definitely, I think, and I at least iterated on Isabelle a couple times, especially because we were making characters while we were doing Blades in Dark and Star Trek, and we had our Lines and Veils conversation.
That's right. And
Drew mentioned a line that he had that my backstory was going to be violating, and I was like, okay, nope.
Appreciate that.
Let's rewrite that. So yeah, like definitely. I don't know in terms of hours, but definitely lots of research and background development and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were quite deliberate about it.
Same for me. I'm playing a character that is completely out of my experience, culturally and historically and that kind of stuff. So I think she's gone through a bunch of iterations because I want to try and treat her history with sensitivity and stuff, but trying to find that I feel like I'm kind of walking a line between with the treatment and trying to find the right tone for how to portray her and her story and stuff. So that she went through a lot of iterations before I finally settled down on where she is now. I'm very cognizant that I am not a Roma individual. I'm not a woman, and I'm not gay. Those are all sort of factors I'm trying to cover with her in a thoughtful way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's real fun playing Catherine, bud. Like, okay, I can do this.
So, I also needed to be quite cognizant of a difference in cultural experience between myself and Cloak. And the reason why is, I think a lot of people can understand this, but it can be a little challenging to recognize from experience that Black experiences are very different depending upon where you're from. So in this case, I'm playing a formerly enslaved Black person who is not from the U.S., and so their attachment to place is different. So even escaped slaves being played in 1846 is going to feel very different about Purgatory Bluff and about the country, right? If you were born there, your grandparents were born there. I mean, depending upon when they came, right? When they were enslaved and brought over. It's going to feel different. So Jean-Paul doesn't feel like this is his home, but it's becoming his home. And so I've had to keep that in mind, that this is a foreign place, that this is a hostile place that he didn't choose to come to. And so his expectations about how people would treat him and his concept of his Black identity is very different because he comes from a place that is predominantly Black.
Yeah, because I mean, to been there a year and change at this point now, and like for me, I've been in Houston for years, and just now am I like, yeah, Houston is home,
Yeah.
And now that I have a house, now it feels like home.
Yeah, totally.
Ooh, that is actually another thing I'll have to ask Ralph about. It's like, the Maroons making houses.
Oh,
especially
yeah,
after the farm raising.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
I mean, they're not going to go too deep in the mines, so I think at a certain point it's going to try and stay shallow.
Down there.
What'd you say?
So there's Balrog.
Yeah.
Yeah, also that. But yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Exactly.
but they set up homes in the mine.
What?
No, I wasn't suggesting that, but interesting.
Yeah,
No, I just meant in the sense that they need things to do other than just mining silver
Dwarf
at a
ass
certain
shit.
point. If it seems like the mining paths are getting too deep, John Paul would think it's dangerous based on. I mean, it depends on what happens with the supernal being that's present, causing all these collapses and stuff like that, right? If that's
all these
resolved,
collapses
then
only caused one collapse. What are you talking about?
all right, fine. Then I'll say causing calamity.
The other ones were just normal mine collapses that
It's
mines
fine.
have.
Absolutely.
Listen, I didn't have anything to do with those other 15 collapses. I only caused one.
Only cost one.
Just because I was
Allegedly,
delighted
yeah.
by the others.
Ash, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I don't know. I put a decent amount of work into just like who Gisela was and what her life has been like. What her father's life was like,
The curse, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and just sort of how that might have impacted who she is as a person now. The original idea I had for her as a mage changed once I started playing her, because I'm like, well, it's not going the way I anticipated it would. She's kind of going in another direction, and I'm fine with that. It's fun. But I've had to alter things.
Shift gears.
Mm.
People actually listen to you.
One person, and all of a sudden everybody listens to her. Yeah, no. But yeah, it is definitely different because compared to Cassandra.
How much backstory is there to the big named NPCs we've seen so far?
What big named NPCs? Right now,
Say your Warner and Rights.
yeah, I was to say because Warner's got his thing going on. You've got the Royal Society, and really that's it for big name NPCs. You've got the one seer who very clearly is like a low rung soldier, and then you have a supernal being in the mines. It's actually one of the things I went out of my way to do. Is like I'm not going to throw a big bad at you guys like I did with Graves, right? We'll have other problems or mischief, or we had Elliot, for instance, who ended up becoming a bit more of a thing. The Moros was like, okay, we're done with you. Slap on the wrist, get out of here. But yeah, I've tried to avoid doing the stereotypical BBEG in town. Now, of course, after the time skip, and the mages are going to be like, man, there's nothing new to learn inside Purgatory. We need to go find stuff. We need to explore stuff. Then we're going to start getting into who else is out here.
And to be fair, we made Graves the bad guy.
Yeah, he was supposed to be just neutral and kind of
We as
scummy.
characters.
we
We
did
as
that to
players.
ourselves, yes.
Which, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's actually right in line with another question that got asked. You might want to take a guess who asked it.
Camo.
Ooh,
It's
Camo!
that's what I'm talking
Something like
about.
that.
That's some good ones.
How would the characters of this campaign interact with someone the likes of Mr. Graves? I will say it would depend entirely upon how he introduced himself this time.
And I mean, I think in this scenario, we might have actually been allies or something, had a much more cordial relationship because we didn't have the cultural bias against Graves. We would
Somebody
have had the cultural bias
calling
because
you up and calling you by your sympathetic name.
Yeah, I mean, people
Right.
know my name. They call my name all the time.
But yes, but someone showing up and like blackmailing you or whatever, it's not going to go well. Just, I think, based on how players react to these sorts of things ever. But yeah, like, some little scummy seer informant that just is like trying to make some deals and get a profit off of it. Like, yeah, okay, might be something that we work with as a sort of, you've got a key to a mystery we've been trying to work on. I guess we have to work with you. Part of the whole being like a, further down the line, a nameless order is what we've talked about. It's not firmly aligned with either the Diamond or the Seers. No, but we also, as players, are a bunch of softy do-gooders, so it's always hard to push ourselves to, play along with the bad guys.
Not on the side of oppression.
I'm a ruthless person. I got no kindness in my heart.
Crafty
Seared away
man.
Years ago.
Meanwhile, leaving felt cards behind, and
Hey, crafty man went in the wrong direction. He shouldn't have got that trauma. He started breaking kneecaps. Let's remember.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair.
We got so traumatized.
point of the game.
Yep. Drive it like you stole it. These two questions kind of sort of ask the same thing. I'm going to ask them together, but from Camo and Noda. Camo's phrasing was, if you had to play another character, PC or NPC, who would it be? And Noda was, if you could play another player's character, who would you choose? Any characters from old games could apply to make it more interesting too.
I'd go play Mammon.
I would play Mammon.
Like, Mammon had like his backstory and everything. Like, yep. Because I'd have played him very similar to how we see, Jean-Paul Cloak Legba being played is very little abrasive and just like it. Man, I don't care about social niceties, and I'm just gonna tell you how it is. And it's how Drifter was going to be played too. But Drifter was a little bit more communal and like, let's care for the community. But Mammon was out for himself, and I enjoyed that. But not
that
to be
makes sense.
Just a greedy asshole.
My read on Drifter was that he was caring for the community in much the same way a craftsman cares for their tools.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Don't want anything to break. I want everything to work. Yeah.
I really liked Vicker. I love Vicker's
Vicker
aesthetic.
was so good. I guess I just got to kill this angel now.
Yeah.
Hang on. How did we get here?
So anyways, I started blasting.
Loading the bullets. I'm sorry it had to be this way, son.
Light my cigar.
That's right.
Vicker had such good, like,
You could just go
old
back.
school comics Wolverine energy.
Oh,
Yes.
so good. Oh, yeah.
Just like fucking big ass stogie. Like, hell yeah.
It's great. It's fucking great.
And they drive off down the street and a little twist and he's
Right.
gone. And
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I still remember Chris's face. Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna shoot him. You're huh? Because we haven't even tried to fight Supernals in the Rookery at that point. We never did, actually. Now that I think about it, it was just
That was a good fight, though.
It was very good.
Very cinematically run.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna foomp onto the stained glass, and oh yeah,
Had a little Bayonetta thing going on.
Yes!
It's great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I guess we should interject here. And any of the NPCs would automatically become mages, right?
Right. Could play network.
Yep.
Because I think Drew was incapable of being as shitty as I wanted him to be.
Oh yeah, not even network necessarily so much as
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Like, start off playing as Jimmy and then awaken. Yeah, that would have been fun. Alternatively, a more we'll say less monster fucker version of Atratus. Just really double down on the death and breaking shit.
Although, we make
a-
fun of that, but I don't think Atras really did do much of that.
Nah, she just wanted to be everybody's friend.
Mhm.
Look, what happened off screen stays off screen.
And yep,
I don't remember her name, but what was Atratus's cryptid hunter?
Shanna.
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 That
Shanna
would
was
have been a
dope.
fun one, I think.
Good work.
Oh yeah.
Good work on that one.
I guess she was technically my character too. But yeah, like when I was making her character sheet, I'm like, I want to play this for real.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, you started telling me about her. We were hanging out one time, and I was just like, "Did you make this for me in case I die?"
Oh, that would have been good. He'd be like, all right, and Chris will now be playing Shanna, and be like, so we have changed characters. How? And what do you mean that there's this is picking up a bunch of Abrimos dots and
approximately 3 degrees. You're saying, Greg?
Yeah, so Shanna would have, if I'd have played another character, I think Shanna would be it.
Another character that I would have loved to have played was oh my gosh. And yeah, I saw chat talking about Judd, but I didn't know if I actually wanted to play Judd until TV came out and I could figure out his powers. But no, it was, oh my gosh.
Does he have powers?
Oh my gosh. Cool college professor.
Kiza.
I would have loved playing Kiza.
I love him so much. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because Kiza was the good guy version of Drifter. It's just like, yeah, let's be.
For those keeping score, Drew has only said he's wanted to play other Mastigos that were in the games.
Yes. The factory
Drew also has a type.
Yeah, factory was also very cool because factory was leaning into the matter stuff. But
I really liked
Pip was fun too. I am kind of sad we never got to see Pip with her very den mother sweet Thyrsis and the big fucking rifle.
I mean, just put her into this game. Like a fucking elephant gun.
Yeah.
Have it happen.
That's true. Riding on a stagecoach.
Yep. Mike asked if we have any coven name ideas. No.
The Witches of Purgatory Bluff. Like, why mess with with what you got?
I mean, we only just recently became aware that there might be other covens out there.
Yeah.
And do they even have names? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1 year time skip, you definitely figured that out because, not red. Oh my gosh.
Something about a rainbow in the waterfall.
No, that's red.
Yeah.
No, the Silver Ladder, Limnir, is definitely going to be
the guy who's not a werewolf,
totally,
but looks like a werewolf.
Totally not a werewolf. Also, totally Silver Ladder because I wanted that very weird distinction of like, hang on. The outdoorsy woodsman werewolf guy is also the one who's really into paperwork. Okay.
I like him a lot. And his freaking showman pitches.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was good. 2-point tack room? 2 PT tack room? Asked how frontier is the town, how much traffic passes through, how far is it to the nearest population center, how wide is the river, and how large a boat normally traverses it. So give us the quick wiki rundown of Purgatory Bluff.
Population is under 100. Well, actually, with the miners, it's probably crests over 100 because the miners alone is probably 60 or 70 people, and then the town to support it and stuff like that. The river allows for 2 barges to pass by each other. When it's really low, one barge might need to bank itself while the other passes by. And it's got regular traffic. Usually there's a ship every couple days coming through. Now they don't always necessarily stop because Purgatory Bluff is not that big. And then you've got Fort, I can't remember what, that's up or downriver or whatever, is north of town. So it's not so far out that, there's a concern, but it's not a, tactically important town in any way other than it has a silver mine.
That's probably where our first quest leads to. Right. So we leave the starter town and got to go to the military base next door. It's fine.
Yeah.
I
think that covers most of it. But yeah, and it is frontiersy because it's 1846, 1847. There's not a lot of development that's come out this way. The train hasn't come out, which was one of the things actually we talked about. Purgatory Bluff. Nope, there's no railroad. Absolutely not. Nobody wanted it.
I mean, we're still well short of even the time frame of that.
Well, the Intercontinental,
right?
Yeah. But, we could have trains, but they haven't been heading that far west yet.
I guess we kind of touched on this a little bit, but Toast asked, how did you go about your historical research for the setting? No, we did about that. Chris W. asked, any suggestions on running a Mage the Awakening game for newbies who haven't played a Chronicles of Darkness game?
Spend time getting familiar with the spellcasting rules.
Yeah. If you're going to be teaching it, you gotta be good at it.
Chuck all the fun or all the fluffy rules out and just have them roll Gnosis plus Arcana for things.
Yeah.
And play with the lore and the funness of the setting first would be my suggestion.
Yeah, especially
before you try to get into all the crunchy rules. Just
if you're trying to get them to play and show them Mage is cool, Gnosis plus Arcana plus, a relevant bonus if they can come up with a cool item or thing in the environment that they're pulling on. And just call that good. Because it's going to be a one-shot. And set that up and just let them feel out the vibe of, I can do anything based on practices, and just live off of the practices that are in the book. And so that's 2 pages. And it's like, okay, how many dots do you have? These are the things you can do. And don't stress about it. But then remind them afterwards that, hey, you might have to fix these later when you're actually really playing. But that's the big one. And I would tell them to stay away from the Void State, Void Safe, whatever website that is, because that absolutely ruins your ability to cast spells quickly. Because that comes up on Reddit all the time. How do I get better at this? I keep using this website and walking through it step by step. I'm like, yes, that's like using a calculator to do arithmetic every single time. Yes, it will get you to the right answer, but if you can't do 10 plus 10 in your head, it's going to slow you down.
Ralph, any advice to add on?
Yeah. With Mage in particular, I would suggest that, and this is not something we were able to do in this campaign, but I would have suggested it for this one as well, that you do not give people rotes at all until they can wrap their head around creative thaumaturgy, because it creates a very strong creative constraint around how you think of magic. Mentally. Yes, absolutely. You think of them as spells. You look for it in the
book instead of...
What's the spell we can cast, as opposed to how do we work with the flexible system? Yeah, not that you don't assign them, just like until players can work around the idea that these rotes are representations of things that they're doing otherwise. And especially if they don't have rotes, they're not casting the rote, right? All of these are effects and they function the same way. And it allows you to do all kinds of interesting things that aren't intrinsically limited by what...
Oh, no, you're fine. Just to clarify, because I know some people are going, what? Ralph is talking about the pre-built spells and calling those the ones as rotes.
Yes, because that's what they are. All the ones in the books are just sample rotes, right? They aren't praxes. I mean, you can have them as a praxis, right? But they are examples of rotes, nothing else. They're not examples of the limits on things you can do. They're examples of things you can do. Right. And so most of the system is improvised spellcasting, but oftentimes we don't get to that because we focus on the things that are described as easier to wrap your head around.
Right.
Actually, that's probably a good way to start, is don't even let your players know the spells as written up.
Right.
Yeah.
Just go with practice and go from there,
Yeah.
And puts a lot more work on you as the DM.
It can. But again, it's one of those ideas, if this is a one shot, you're just trying to get them interested. Yep.
For sure. Anything else?
Give them an open-ended mystery, because that's what I've done every single time. It's like, what's causing this? Well, it could be a ghost. It could be a spirit. It could be a god machine angel. It could be werewolves in the basement. It could be whatever. And just let them go figure it out. And when they feel like they're onto something, that's totally what it is, guys. And let them go chase it.
Yeah, something, just a general DM storyteller advice is the plot and the solutions to puzzles and things like that are what the players came up with.
Yeah, if you need a very specific aspect to continue the story on, okay, throw that in there for them to find, but it doesn't need to be the resolution.
Especially with trying to do mystery stuff for Mage, like, you can write 47 different clues that you think are all there and easily found, and players might find one of them.
And I mean, with Mage, post-cognition. All right, what happened in this room?
Right.
Yeah, I guess
it may not even make the same leaps of logic.
Yeah, when you're doing a problem,
when you came up with the clues.
Don't come up with a way for them to solve it. Just give them the problem. Yeah.
That's right.
Camo. Was Cloaks and Neros meant to be high seas piratey to keep us from rioting?
It was home.
Yeah.
Because all Onero's lobbies, air quote, which I wasn't great about in the Rookery, are all points of transportation and travel and transition and stuff like that, to where you go from here, where you wake up in your Oneros, and then you go somewhere else. Atratus's was probably the closest in the fact that it's not necessarily transition or shifting, but it's a big house with a bunch of doors. Those lead to other places. Ralph and I, it was just very easy to be like, oh yeah, this isn't the obvious one of, yeah, it's back home, sort of, and all these ships docked and ready to go. So
we talked about him working on the docks too, so
right.
So yeah, it's totally familiar. Yeah, that's how he thinks of transporting large distances.
I'm gonna ask Mike's question to feed into Camo's question. Mike asked, is this a setting with only mages, or do other splats exist and just aren't crossing the characters' paths? We've kind of talked about this, but
other supernatural stuff exists, but I'm not using any of the books. I might use them for ideas, things that these things might do. Just that way I don't play a super stereotypical vampire or werewolf. But yeah, no, if you see a werewolf, do not expect it is Uratha. Or actually, as it came up in Discord today, everyone's like, oh, if you're watching this, I expect you've watched episodes 1 through 20. Ooh, a rank 7 spider spirit. That's terrifying. That's super powerful. And my response was but it goes to 11 dial. Like, why am I going to be limited to, oh yeah, rank 7 is scary. Well, hang on. Rank 7 can be scary. What's up at rank 10? Because even the book only goes to rank 8.
That was my reaction when I read through the werewolf stuff. And it's like, oh, the first one in rank 7? Well, then what the fuck do rank 8, 9, and 10 exist for?
And so, yeah, I've got some ideas floating around there. I don't know that we'll necessarily see it, because that's some arc mastery kind of things.
That's some horrifying things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Literally kneeling before God at that point. And then, so sort of the tie-in facing the players question here is, if the characters were in a group of all other supernaturals, what would the group be and why? And the examples are like being part of a werewolf pack or a changeling motley or something like that. So your character is now part of a player group of a different splat, I think is generally the question.
I don't know enough about the other splats to answer this.
Yeah, because you've got your classic werewolf pack and the whole...
Yeah, Isabelle would either fit in really well or be dead within a day in a werewolf pack.
Yeah, no middle ground, right?
No middle ground.
And with werewolves, that kind of makes sense. You are either an asset to the pack or we're getting you out of the way.
Right.
And then, yeah, you've got your changeling motley, which honestly feel far more of the family group, like found family kind of vibe. You got your Geist crew, which is a pseudo-religious cult, and how do you deal with death and the afterlife and the underworld, and what do you want to do with it? And I love celebrants, because it's like, oh shit, the underworld sucks. Celebrate life. Let's hang out with the dead people.
Throw a fucking party.
Now we're gonna go kick an underworld god's ass and make it better.
Yeah. Now that's not
make this little corner better.
Right, and that's not necessarily a celebrant thing. That's any Geist group. There's actually one Geist group. I cannot remember what they are, but yeah, their whole thing is, let's go down into the underworld and dig up all the knowledge that has been lost down there.
I like those ones.
Yes.
Surprise!
But yeah.
Cloak.
Graf, did you have an idea?
Yeah, Cloak would be a vampire.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cloak would be Ordo Dracul.
Yep.
I was gonna say he'd fit in
transcending
with,
limitations and trying to make sure that the beast does not overpower you. He would be a high humanity vampire.
Yep.
And probably one that does a lot with others to stop those who succumb to the beast.
That's fair. I was going to say, I could see Cloak falling into a mystery surrounding a piece of infrastructure.
Oh yeah,
And then getting wrapped up by are they called conspiracies?
I think so.
Conspiracies
Or
of
what a group of
demons.
demons is called.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, with all the mind magic and stuff like that. Then especially like all the demon ability to like lie and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Cloak be like, how did you no, Gisela could fit in with some changelings, I feel like.
Yeah, see, I just don't know anything
The
about a
splats,
changeling.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like, I mean, it would depend on, I don't know so much about werewolf culture, but I feel like an acanthus would be a good asset.
Oh, dude, yeah, the pack will totally adopt you and be like, yep. I actually was suggesting it to Ms. Grumpy today, was the pack book. Because there's a section of, so what about the people who aren't werewolves in the pack, and how do you adopt them?
That's such a good book.
Or are they a useful ally? There's a suggestion. There's a little. I love it. It's so good. It's a little scripted bit, and the mage shows up and says, "This is where we're trying to get into." Yeah, we can't get in there. There's bad things in there. Okay, well, I'm going to open this, but when we get in there, the bad thing, I get to study it before you all kill it. Yeah. Just let us in there. Okay, the stone opens up, and the werewolves pounce in, and it's like, you guys good down there? As the mage just kind of sits back, and I'm like, yes, backline study mage. All right.
All right, since it got brought up in chat, I guess we can do that. Mike asked, what are your players' choices, NPC-wise, for Kiss, Marry, Kill?
No.
We don't have that many NPCs,
Yeah,
y'all.
that's
Right?
exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Kill the seer that crept into my bedroom. There you go.
Yeah, that covers it. We're good.
Marry Ike and take his money.
It's a good plan.
Kiss the homies.
And
Well, you can combine those.
kiss the homies goodnight.
Combine those two, right?
Mary
Oh yeah, be a
Mary, I can
rich
kill him.
widow.
little Fallout New Vegas Black Widow playthrough. Isabelle speedrun.
Kiss Spider Queen, Mary Water Spirit, kill Ruin. Fair.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, didn't you already kiss the water spirit?
Fair.
No.
No.
Some flirting and then some essence handover.
Yeah, give her some essence and pull her to fuck off.
He made her dinner.
Kiss Alphoth. Get that lightning.
Oh yeah.
Some hair raising experience, or there's a pun there. I'm just not gonna fight for it.
Wait, are we raising rabbits? It's Frontier.
Yeah, like, I want to marry Gisela off to someone, but there's no one in town. So
I mean, there is, but yeah, I've just probably
We
not
haven't-
introduced.
we haven't been
Yeah.
relevant.
Just gotta talk to Drew about it. Drew, make me
Put
a
that
boyfriend.
aspiration in. Well, that's because that's the other question. Is it going to be a Gisela boyfriend, or is it going to be the guy that mom and dad like?
Yeah, fair.
Or do we do both? And then we can play through the young adult novel love triangle thing. This is who I'm supposed to marry, but this is who I want to marry. Yeah. I mean,
He might be a nice
yes,
guy.
but
He might be a nice guy. Just assuming he's terrible.
I mean, it's not an assuming thing. In character, yeah, everybody knows he's a bit of an untitled asshole, and he has dated and courted quite a number of the women in town, and all of them are too beneath him.
Well, just as in real life, everyone has depth and a variety of traits. So I feel like right at the beginning of the
find
camp.
that out on screen.
What'd you say?
I said we can find that out on screen.
Oh yeah.
Over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I expect we will. I feel like we've collectively taken a stance on Ike, or we did prior to him doing anything that we saw. Just a kind of vague description from Drew that he's the entitled son of a wealthy landowner And then based on our respective individual orientations to things like that and economic disparity, we were kind of like orienting on him as being a problem. I just think it might be helpful. Hey, it's a possibility. Maybe Drew has some plans, right? Like it turns out Ike is going to surprise us because he seems like an asshole, but it turns out he does have some things he wants to do for the town for the better, but he's struggling with his feelings of inadequacy because he doesn't actually have any status in town. He's just a rich kid and everybody interprets him that way. And I don't know what it's going to be. I'm just offering up that there's a number of ways the story could go.
Well, the one thing I will mention, because we have touched on it, is he's got some issues with his mom.
Okay. Well, that's an important thing.
Which, it's another NPC that I feel like, am I going to bring her out more? Or, yeah. Because she's definitely one of those ones that, like, Legbook could help.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I clarify that like the writing off of Ike is from Chris, not from Isla, or from Isabelle. Isla, Jesus.
See, it's so easy. So glad we now have.
You said Isabelle and then corrected yourself to Isla.
It's so easy. The name's just right there.
It's all right. Brenna texted me earlier because she was catching up and got to the part where I said Sophie instead of Isabelle.
That's funny.
It's like brain tangled.
Too many characters.
Too many characters. Camo says, after Vices, what are the characters' biggest flaws?
Been waiting for that one. That was one I was curious about.
That's a good one.
Because Vices aren't flaws. They're just the...
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Theo, that's a spoiler, I think. We'll get into that after the time skip.
All right.
I'm very curious now.
Right?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Now I want to make you answer it because I'm like, wait, what? Ralph, what you think?
Cloak's flaw is that he presents these... He's very open about a lot of things. And so people think he's disguising things. The truth is he's not disguising a lot. What is happening is that he doesn't think about some aspects of his own happiness and satisfaction as much as he should. So if someone were to visit his Oneros and poke around without his biases and the direction he's focused, right? What I would imagine is happening is when we saw that scene where he's engaging his daemon, there were things that she said that we didn't see because we were seeing it through Cloak's eyes. But if you were to rewind it, she was saying things to him that he just didn't pick up. He wasn't paying attention to.
Just straight over his head.
Yes, just straight over his head. Just like stuff like, hey, have you thought about a relationship? Who makes you happy? What do you care about these people? Stuff like that, right? His biggest flaw is that he doesn't think that he needs to be spending a lot of time on happiness. He thinks that he needs to be spending time on productive engagement with other
self-care.
people. Yeah, he does, right? And he thinks self-care is just making himself a more capable servant to the good work that other people can do, right? And he feels satisfied in that. But I mean, it is not investing more in him having the happiness that he needs to truly move on from a lot of the stuff that's happened. So that's a flaw that's he definitely doesn't recognize, because he's receptive to people saying, hey, you need to engage people a different way, but it's just operative for him.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that Isabelle has all sorts. There's a lot going on with that girl. She's fucked. I guess it's the like and it comes from a very like trauma survival sort of response of like all of the, I mean, her vice is manipulative, but like alongside that is, like we talked about earlier, like her hierarchy of need is not well filled out, and it's a transactional and survival based view of humanity. Like the fact that she has trusted these other folks is, I would say, equally out of self-preservation and because I don't know that there's a better option
Right,
for her.
yeah, because at this point it's like, I know all this crazy shit. These people know all this crazy shit. I need to hang out with them because...
And it's very much if I'm not working with them,
they may work against you.
and like
yeah.
exactly, they may work against me. So,
And once you realize that I can see spooky things that are invisible to other people, and then you look over at the Moros who does ghosts, it's like, oh.
yeah. Well, especially with her, I think the reason she really will settle in and eventually build more trust with these folks is having seen all 5 paths and had that experience of like, okay,
That's a really good point.
I do factually know that they haven't been lying to me.
Yeah.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah. Ooh, yeah,
That's
we gotta
really
figure
nice.
out what's gonna go on with that potion. What happens to that recipe?
Well, we're all going to take it. I mean, what? I mean,
Taking a trip, son.
Once Isabelle is like, "Hey, I can see your paths now. I understand." I mean, an opportunity for even
every
a day
mage,
of
every mage in 500 miles is like, excuse me?
yeah. I mean, even one day of true empathy would bring us so much closer. So, like the moment Isabelle says that, Cloak has been like curious about spirits, right? It didn't make complete sense to him when she described them. So, an opportunity for him to know what she sees would mean a lot to him.
Right. And even showing them to you doesn't.
Right, it's not the same thing.
Yeah,
It's not the same thing as having spirit vision.
that's right.
And it's
Exactly.
certainly not the same thing as having Theodosia spirit vision.
Yeah, totally.
Ash?
Gisela has a few flaws. One big one is probably like a lack of direction as a person. Like her life has been wrapped up in
The family.
the family and doing what she can for them and what's best for them without any real look into what she might want.
Yeah.
And like it's not like a selfless, self-sacrificing thing. It's like she would be selfish given the opportunity. But she's never conceived of that being a thing.
Yeah.
But now, with weird, crazy mage powers, she's got power. And
You can do things.
yeah, she can take control.
Yeah. A lot more agency now.
Like the whole deal with, I'm going to pick a future for you and make it happen. It's like, and they get hit with hubris because that's not good.
It's not nice.
But like the ego rush she gets from doing it.
Yeah, the
Yep.
megalomaniacal.
Some parallels between Cloak and Gisela there.
It's true. It's a good point.
It's very self-depriving.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely, I think, in spending more time developing the mortal backstories and then coming in. I see awakenings as very traumatizing things that have happened. Generally,
even the
like,
nice
you don't
ones,
generally, yeah, even the nice ones, like it has uprooted your entire sense of reality. Like that's a big fucking step.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Like that's something it takes some time to adjust to.
Yeah.
And so I've enjoyed seeing these 4 folks that have veneers of I am a whole person, and then
A
like
normal human being.
communicating behind the screen, and then also openly as well of like, yo, shit's fucked. And all of us having some of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's been,
Like, I
that's
feel
been
like-
a nice, more developed bit of the campaign.
Like the
Enjoyed.
awakening for Gisela definitely was like that, and mainly that like the entire concept of God that had been what a lot of everything she known was wrapped around. And yeah, no.
Doesn't make sense to her anymore.
Yeah. It's
Whereas for Isabelle, it like doubled down her faith. Like she is certain that this is a gift from God.
Yeah, no. For Gisela, it's more just like, oh, there is so much more than you ever conceived of.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to add anything without spoiling your thing, Craig?
Just I think we're gonna come up against a lot of it when Theo finally gets around to doing her soul dive.
Ooh, yeah.
Fair enough.
There's a significant amount of internal conflict that's gonna get unearthed there.
Fair.
Got a little glimpse of something.
Noctal asks, now that you all have over a year of experience at multiple games under your belts, how are you liking being game streamers?
Oh, yes. That's probably a good final question.
I don't exist in that bucket.
We have one from
Oh.
Dustin from Booker. That's
I
really
just
good.
noticed the time. So that's
Fun thing to end on.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, dude, I love it. It definitely makes me want to have an off-screen game. Also one where I can play. Actually, it's one of the big things I'm excited about doing up at PAX Unplugged is like,
Mhm.
I'm not running any games on Friday. So Friday, I could just go find some shit and go do some stuff.
Mhm.
So that'll be fun. But yeah.
Magpie might have the Avatar game,
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I have to look stuff up.
or at the very least, they'll have Root.
But yeah, my big thing is I love it. I also highly suggest, having done this now, for your own games at home, even if you're doing it like at the table, or especially if you're doing it online, seriously record it. Don't even put it online. Just record it and save it for yourself. Because some of this stuff is,
Having that reference point.
I mean, not even the reference stuff, though it is very nice to have that, especially as a storyteller. But it's just like we have the ability now for something that is so like intrinsic to the gamer, at least on the TTRPG side. Like this is, these are all these stories that we like to tell. Oh yeah, you remember the time we were playing Mage and Songbird did the thing? And having that actually available, I'm still very mad that I cut camera at the end of episode 35 of the Rookery. I'm glad I had the audio clip. I'm so mad I cut the video, because that little bit would have been just so good.
The shit went on too.
So having that is just super cool. So, get a little recorder. Your phone's going to be just fine to record your entire sessions and just save them somewhere as MP3s.
It won't take up that much space.
And just to attest to that, like my Wednesday D&D game that I run, one of the players records it every week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the virtual tabletop space that we're doing here. And it's such a valuable resource to just go back and get inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Or to, pick up little details that you turn into a plot hook later and stuff like that. It's nice having that reference to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then to end us off for the night, what would your personal Nimbus look like if you were a mage? How would your mage sight and peripheral mage sight manifest? And I guess alongside this is, what path would you be? Drew, Mastigos.
Like, Mastigos is the one I hope I would come up as, but I'm probably going to end up coming up as an Abrimos. I just know it. I have a thing about truth and revealing things, but yeah. As for my Nimbus, man, I don't know. big set of white eyes and big red tongue. Is that?
It's right there behind you, actually. It's already manifested. You paid the mana for the scene. Anybody else got an idea?
I think Abrimos for me too would be, truth is a very big factor in my life. And honesty and openness and stuff like that. So probably end up leaning that way. And as much as I like to play chaotic, chaos monkeys and stuff in games and stuff, I'm definitely a creature of habit and tradition and things happening in a certain order and a schedule, and like I'll schedule my random time is sort of how
Amen. Preach
I
it.
work personally. From 6 to 6:30 will be random discussions, and
absolutely not.
So that's how I tend to relate to the world best, is when I have structure.
I need a plan for my day. Yep.
Mhm.
We could all line up with an acanthus. Nah. You say that. Nah. Ralph. Ash.
Sure. Potential is incredibly important to me. Everyone's potential, opportunity, chance for redemption. I think I always hold out hope that people can change and do better, and that regardless of what they've done in the past, it doesn't preclude them from having a different identity or a different association with the world. So I used to think that the most important thing for me in life is to figure out what the truth is in a particular situation, to orient to it, and to make sure I knew what it was. And as I aged and understood myself more, I learned that, in Myers-Briggs terms, I'm an ENFP. Straight up ENFP. I'm super into feelings and emotions and compassion and kindness. And so if I were a mage, I'm pretty sure I'd be an acanthus. One heavily focused on helping people recognize that their actions have consequences, but they're not fixed. So the most important perspective is that time and fate are not intertwined. They are parallel things. There are all kinds of metaphors we use to describe them, right? But I'd be an acanthus that thinks of them as supportive influences on the same thing. Mm-hmm. That fate and time are working together to make things happen. But just because something is likely to occur doesn't mean it's guaranteed. And just because it seems like it's almost a guarantee that it will happen, it doesn't deprive you of choice and agency. And I think those things are particularly important in human relationships, especially once we form biases about the people we know and about ourselves. And it often prevents us from achieving the happiness that we really want. And so in that way, my nimbus, I think, would be, I would probably interpret magic through formication. I think, the sense of ants crawling on your skin. That would probably be it for me, even though I haven't really had to feel that very much in my life. But I find it pleasant when insects are crawling on me. So that's how I think I would interpret it. Like, hey, cool magic stuff is happening, right? You feel a little leaf beetle walking along your forearm. And I think long-term nimbus would be laughter. I think people would be more inclined to laugh. Because I'm a very silly person, if none of you have gathered that.
No,
Yeah.
You've shaken everything you've done on stream completely 100% seriously.
Yeah, I'm a silly guy. So I think the long-term nimbus would likely be people more inclined to laugh.
Cool. Ash?
For me, I am Amoros. I was sitting here going over my desk and pulling out
All your
bones.
bones.
the bones. This one's a skull. Here are my rocks.
Yeah, that's right.
This is a real feather encased in copper.
Yay.
Yeah, Moros. For the Nimbus, probably like the sound of a bone xylophone.
Ooh, cool.
Like music tinkling on just the sound of
Spooky
bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there too.
Not that specifically, but that sort of tinkling,
Mm-hmm.
like clearly bones, but not like dark.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think you and I both agree on the necromancy level of like, hey, bones are bones. Like, they don't have to be scary.
Recycling.
She's about to cosplay as
Circle
heroin,
of life. Also, yeah, these are just the ones I immediately have on my desk.
Yeah.
This is a pin that's a skull. I have several more very good rocks that I need to find, and then a whole shelf back there of more bones and rocks.
Thank you, Tien.
No. Oh.
Yeah, I still need to read the last book.
Woof. Let's see. I think I would be a Thyrsus.
Maybe, yeah.
If
I don't think there's really any other choice.
Nothing else, the gender fluidity side. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. That's more of a desire than a necessary intrinsic part of my personality, but
She can't stop. She's got to show them all.
we're going to keep the stream going for the next 3 hours. Anybody that wants to watch, Ash will be there looking at her treasures. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. In some of my darker thoughts and feelings on how the world works, there's very much the like humans are animals sort of things, and there's less of that. Certainly less than what Ralph was talking about, the hope for people to change and be better. I tend to expect the worst out of people and am often
surprised,
not let down. But there's like, it's not in a pessimistic way. It's like, I don't know.
If you plan for it, and then let's be honest, Chris also works in the service industry.
If you plan to be disappointed and then get something good happen, then it's all the better, right? That's not depression or anything. But yeah, the thought of how spirit magic interacts with the world, and I am very much not a spiritual person in any way, shape, or form, but in learning Mage, it's led me to sort of surface level interactions with like actual real world magic and some of the thoughts and philosophies that can be attached to those, and there's a lot of interesting things to be found there, and sort of the ecstatic approach to life I can see meshing well.
Yeah.
Where the Watchstones to
the
be
resonance is a real vibe, man. Like walk in,
just a fucking vibe. Like just walk in and just vibe
like,
check the whole place. You know what I
maybe,
mean?
Maybe we don't
What's
stay
going
here.
on here?
Yeah, the vibes are off. We're out. The vibes were off at Applebee's, bro. And Nimbus would be. It would be something running into like the scurrying of something down an alleyway from you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like the cat or the raccoon or whatever jumping into a trash can as you turn into an alleyway. Like that sort of like the reminder that even though you are in society, you're in the human world, that there is always life around you.
Somewhere around the corner or something there.
Right. Like today when I was like going to my new house to do some pest control, and the pest control guy just casually was like, yeah, I found the biggest fucking Black Widow spider I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, you killed it, right? Like little shit like that. Or like I just like really like those like little reminders. Like when we went to our house for the first time after closing on it, there was a cracked open half a shell of a walnut. I'm like, we have squirrels.
A friend was here.
A friend was here.
Please don't stay in the attic. Oh,
right.
Could you imagine poor Barley? Squirrels in the attic. Squirrels in the attic.
Poor Barley. Poor Ziggy.
It's true. I have had less interactions with Ziggy, so
that's fair. Well, I've had plenty of them with him today. So that is all the questions we've got and all the time that we've got, I think. Because I've got to get up early. I'm moving into my new house.
Is an oil that smells like a graveyard.
Again, Ash will be here for the next 3 hours. The stream will keep going.
It will be on Discord, not on the stream, because I don't need to leave this up. But yeah, and our quick little wrap up. Thank you to all our patrons. I didn't read your names today. I apologize. Thank you very much for your support. It does mean a lot to us. Also, if you want to be part of the coolest tabletop RPG community on the internet, please come by, eat into .space. That's our Discord. It's very pleasant. It's very homey. We try to, we let you put your feet up on the coffee table. But if you yell at your sister, I will send you into your bedroom. And you can think about what you've done. highly suggest coming by, hanging out. It's a very good place to hang out. Even if you're not playing Mage, if you play other games, you're totally allowed to talk about it. We want to hear about it. It's a lot of fun. I highly suggest it. There's that.
Even just to lurk.
Yep.
One of these
You just
days,
hang out.
I'm going to commit to a full Stefan bit to talk about the Discord.
Oh, yeah? You mean Stefan from SNL?
Mhm.
All right. I'm here for it.
New York's hottest nightclub is two dot space.
Write that script up. We can use it. And then, just a quick little shout out thing. Gehenna Gaming has invited me up to PAX Unplugged, so I will be there running some games for them. Alien, Kids on Brooms, and a horror D&D. But you all know me and how I do horror, so I am pre-making some Mystery Machine. Mystery Inc. Characters based off a wonderful piece of art, and they were and Ian over at Gehenna Gaming was like, "Yeah, no, I approve it. Done, cool." So yeah, that's going to be just some silly campy fun. And then of course, if you are up at PAX U and you don't intend to play a game with me, A, totally cool, but B, I would love to meet, fist bump. It is going to be fully vaccinated and fully masked the entire time, so it should be a nice, safe way to do a convention. So I'll be up there. If you're going to be in Philly at the time, come by Discord and let me know, because I'd love to say hey, if nothing else, just to say hey. Otherwise, when we come back next week, we will be a year into the future. It will be 1846. I think June is kind of the time frame I'm thinking of. It'll be into the summer. And we will have progressed forward, and some things will have changed, and our mages will have learned some things, and they've spent some XP, and lots of nice little changes. And Purgatory Bluff is going to be too small for them to be, learning from, and they're going to have to set their sights out elsewhere while maintaining those sleeper concerns and taking care of families and jobs and the town itself and a bunch of maroon miners and any new miners that have joined. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So we will be doing that next week.
It's going to be a good time.
I think that's it. Bye, folks.
Looking forward to it. See y'all later.
Bye.